Hello, my name is Ian O'Brien, and welcome to College Football Recaps, the show where I recap the biggest games and stories happening around the college football world. Let's start by recapping the game of the week between the 5th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes and the Nebraska Cornhuskers at Memorial Stadium, where some thought that Ohio State would be on an upset alert. Early first quarter, young quarterback Adrian Martinez, pressured by Chase Young, looking for Wandell Robinson, picked off by Jeffrey Okudah, another number one. Early mistake here for the young sophomore, and probably his worst half ever, as we'll get to later. And then the defense here goes wide too much. They back up, and they leave Justin Fields open for a running room. He's going to take this to the house, put up 6-7-0 Ohio State then with the PAT. Martinez once again, that's why I said it was his worst half. Tipped off of Robinson, and it's picked off by Jeffrey Okudah, and he cannot believe what's going on here. And then 31-0 later, Fields going to find Austin Mack here with a jump ball. They fought for it. They said it was a touchdown. Buckeyes improved to 5-0 and defeat Nebraska 48-7. They have Michigan State next weekend. While the 5th team in the nation took care of a rising Nebraska team, the number 1 team in the nation and defending national champion Clemson Tigers nearly gave Bama that number 1 spot in the rankings. Or they just might have. Let's head over to Kenan Memorial Stadium, where Mack Brown and the North Carolina Tar Heels hosted the number 1 Tigers. Here we go. Sam Howell's back to the fastest pass, is going to find Dimey Brown for a 40-yard touchdown, making it 7-0. Lawrence would come right back with Clemson. How about this to Justin Ross, 31 yards out. Then ETN would take it in. Tied game now at 7. A little upset alert here for the Tigers, and we never thought they'd see them struggle here. And look at this. Later on, 21-14. Howell's going to take it himself, saves the drive. Howell's going to save this drive as well. How about that to Rontavious Groves? And then Javonte Williams going to rush in. They called a touchdown. But instead of kicking the PAT, sending it to OT, Mack Brown decides to be gutsy. And it does not pay off. Clemson goes to 5-0. But they may fall in the rankings after this game, winning 21-20. Before we go today, we have some other score updates happening here around the college football nation. Right now, 3rd quarter, it is 24-13. The Utah Utes being the Washington State Cougars right now. That game is on FS1 with 1:30 to go remaining in the 3rd quarter. Other scores today, Alabama takes care of Ole Miss. Ole Miss was actually up for a little bit, but the Crimson Tide came back and won 59-31 as they usually do. Another great win for that team. They might even get that number 1 spot, as I said before. Florida takes care of Townsend really easily, 38-0. Notre Dame looked like that they were maybe going to lose to the Virginia Cavaliers, but they had their composure. They kept cool, and they ended up winning this game 35-20. A big win for the Fighting Irish here. Iowa, they take on Michigan next week. This is a little good practice for them. They end up being Middle Tennessee 48-3 this game. The 14 Hawkeyes against Michigan next week. That's going to be an interesting game between those two. Washington's defense plays a big role in this victory against the USC Trojans. They end up winning 28-14. Jalen Hurts had 415 yards passing with 3 touchdowns in this big 55-16 win against Texas Tech. Auburn, they played Mississippi State 56-23. Auburn's trying to prove to everyone that they know how to play football and that they have a great team around them, and they're proving it right now that because they are still undefeated. Jonathan Taylor, Wisconsin, another big game for the both of them. Jonathan Taylor, over 100 yards rushing again. Wisconsin, still undefeated, 4-0. They end up being Northwestern 24-15 in a nice little throwback uniform game, no less. Speaking of the Wolverines, they end up being Rutgers 52-0 today. Another big one for them, and a great bounce back after last week's big loss against Wisconsin. UCF, speaking of bounce backs, UCF had a great bounce back against UConn today, 56-21, especially after that bad loss that they had last week against Pitt, who nearly lost against a Pitt team that nearly lost to Delaware today. Pitt barely actually beat Delaware 17-14. Texas A&M takes care of Arkansas real big, 31-27 in that game. Oklahoma State 4-1 on the season. They actually beat the number 24th ranked Kansas State Wildcats 26-13. Michigan State, they better get ready for next week, and they did. They struggled a bit here against Indiana. They only won because of because of some fumbling. They only won because of that. They ended up winning 40-31 against the Indiana Hoosiers. So they have to clear these mistakes up big if they want to compete with Ohio State, because that's going to be a real key to that game. You cannot turn the ball over against the Buckeyes for sure. That game's going to be actually at the Horseshoe as well. Speaking of other games that happened Friday, we had Penn State, of course, end up being Maryland 59-0. I don't know what's been going on with the Terrapins, man. I don't know what's been going on with Maryland so far, but 59-0 right now after nearly having basically 120 points in total over the last two games, a little more than that actually. Now you slow down. You lose the tempo. You just get killed at your own turf against a Penn State team. So we gotta see what's happening there. And Arizona State ends up upsetting California 24-17. For College Football Nation, I'm Ian O'Brien. See you next week, college football fans.